All right, in today's venue segment, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about color and how to use the little channel chiclets in color. I'm going to show you how I go about using it. Obviously, you can use this in any way you see fit. I mean, we make it ultimately flexible for you. You can make any channel, any color. But I'm going to kind of give you my strategy on coloring and scheme, etc., to kind of help me out and help me know where I'm at. You know, it can be color can be really, really helpful, especially in this day and age of, you know, where we're in user-defined layers. We might have different inputs just instantly populating on the console now with snapshot recall, etc. So it's important to have little anchors and little things to make you recognize what is in front of you. All right, so let me get the camera turned around. I'll show you how I do it on my console right now. All right, so as you notice, I got kind of a wide view on the console right now, and as I mentioned earlier, I use color to indicate player, right? So that's my primary goal with the colors, is to indicate which inputs are associated with which player. And as you can see right now, you see a lot of green. Even though that's the default color for inputs, I've just made that the drummer's color. So that's Steve Ferroni. Anything that is green is going to be associated with Steve Ferroni. My input list is 1 for 1 right now, meaning channel 1 is patched from input 1, preamp 1, etc. So as we move on down the line here, you can see we have some inputs that start to turn yellow. Those are all Mike Campbell. Mike Campbell has been assigned the color yellow. Tom Petty has been assigned the channel or the color red. So there's my first 2 inputs there. If I go to the next set of inputs, we notice we just keep on with Tom's channels. The clear channel indicates now that there's nothing assigned to it. It's actually an open channel. As we move on down, Scott Thurston is represented by turquoise. Ronnie Blair, all of his bass inputs are represented in blue. Here's another Scott Thurston channel that just shows up in the input list. More Tom Petty channels. These are acoustic guitars right on down the line here. So there's a couple of more acoustics of Tom's. As we get purple, that's all Benmont's channels, including his vocals. As we get down into here, this is actually some audience mics that I have in white, but it probably won't confuse me too bad, I don't think. Let's see, let's go all the way down here. I also have a bunch of parallel returns set up for effects processing, etc., and those are associated in color as well. So any effects processing that is on Tom's vocals or anything to do with Tom's guitars is associated with red. Anything that is drum processing is associated green. Mike Campbell processing or parallel returns, keyboard parallel returns, bass guitar parallel returns, which in this case is really just subharmonic stuff, and then of course any Scott Thurston parallel returns. So you can see all the players are represented in color, all right? So the place where that really comes into play is when we get to our layouts. Now keep in mind, I also do subgroups, right? Audio subgroups. So these are my audio subgroups that I have in play for the show right now. And as you can notice, I have a bass subgroup. I also have a subharmonic subgroup. That is for some time alignment that I do between those two things. But they're associated blue. All drums is green. All Mike Campbell is yellow. That's his group. Tom Petty guitars is red. Scott Thurston guitars is turquoise. All of Benmont's keyboards, etc., are all listed in purple, right on down the line. So you kind of see the idea here. Now, the only place I break with that convention is as I get to the center of the console where I have my VCA assignments. And I have these listed as red just to remind me, okay, these are kind of one-off channels, you know. Even though I've done Tom in red as well, you'll notice my main mixing layer is here, meaning anything I'm mixing during the show really is a lot of it is being done on those VCAs, and then right next to it is Tom's vocals. So it kind of collates to all of this stuff just being associated with there is the show sitting right there. You know, concentrate on those red faders. Now the cool thing that comes with this is as we start to build our layouts, we get good indication of what inputs are associated with what player. As you can see over here, I've got some inputs here that are clearly Mike Campbell, clearly Tom Petty, clearly Scott Thurston, and if I just look at the inputs, they're guitars, but it identifies the player very readily. I also have one additional drum return that comes up here. This is a channel that I call Snare Goo, which is just some snare processing. But as I start to recall different snapshots now, you'll see some of these layers start to change. The layouts start to change. Notice that I've had 2 new channels crop up here in this section of 8, and these are Benmont channels. This is a Farfisa and a tremolo piano that we do. All right, so it's just an indicator that, hey, you've got some Benmont channels in front of you now. If we keep on moving, I go back to that drum goo, and now I've got a combination of Ben's piano vocal and still the goo channel. So you kind of get the idea, right? It's just allowing me to quickly kind of gravitate to what player is actually there, right, on the new channels. So it's a really, really handy feature on the console. I'm really in love with the way we're doing color. The other place we obviously get the help is in the universe screen. All of those colors are represented there. I'll go here so you can see it a little better. All of those colors are represented in the universe as well. So anytime we scroll, we can get to any of those channels and know that if we know the color associated with the player, what channels are associated with that player. All right. So again, really cool. So that's kind of a long way of talking about color, but that's how I use it. I use it to identify players, not necessarily outputs or groups. All right, so that's kind of the way that I go about using color. As just to recap, I kind of use it to identify player, not necessarily styles of inputs or families of inputs or families of instruments or anything like that. I use it to associate strictly to the player. That's what seems to work best for me. So take it and run with it if that's how you want to do it. If not, share yours with me. Let me know how you're using your colors on the console. All I know for sure is it's a really big asset in terms of managing lots and lots of inputs and keeping your head straight on what you're getting ready to grab. All right. So that's it for me. I'll check out here. We'll see you guys on the next Venue video segment. We'll see you. Bye-bye.